Hi guys, what's up? It's Dylan. So today's video is kind of unexpected, and I want to apologize for the poor quality right now because I had a video filmed and ready and scheduled, but this one I deemed more important to create today because I feel like it's really relevant with a few of my friends, and if it's relevant with a few of them, then it's relevant for a lot of people, and I just wanted to kind of get these out there. So today we're going to be doing 5 tips for branding yourself. And this isn't going to be as much of like a how to do this in Illustrator type of thing. This is like emotionally preparing yourself for branding yourself because branding yourself can be one of the hardest things to do, because it's not a client that you once you're done, you don't see them anymore. It's you, and a lot of times I find that we are our own biggest critic and we can be our own worst client as well. So the first tip is to make sure that you have friends and family who know you, because one of the hardest things for at least me when I was branding myself, I didn't like myself. I wasn't happy with who I was as a person. Because of that, anytime I would create a brand that looked like me, I wouldn't like it because it was me. It was me, and me is bad. So remembering that as you're designing and as you're creating content for yourself, just remember that. Like, if you are not in a good place, you need to have friends and family who are going to be there to be like, hey, this looks really great. Hey, this is totally you. Otherwise, you'll end up creating a brand that isn't you. My second to last brand for myself, it was the me I wanted to be, that I was striving to become, which was this calm, quiet, collected person. And it wasn't me. Like, you could look at the brand, you would see my website, and then you would talk to me in person and be like, who did I just meet? Because, like, that's not who I met online. And as a result, it just was very difficult because to make that loud brand when I don't like the fact that I'm loud but can't really change that it's frustrating. So that's the first tip, just make sure you have a solid support group. The second tip would be to make sure that you are still creating content outside of your brand. So if you are just starting and you don't have a brand, or you're still working on your brand, or you don't like your brand, make sure you're still doing work outside of that. Make sure you're still doing photo shoots and whatever you plan on doing, because it's gonna be hard to fill your portfolio with work now that you've got your beautiful brand if you haven't done anything. So for the first like 6 months of me at Full Sail, I didn't really want to do anything because I was like, I don't really have a brand, so it's gonna look bad. They're not gonna be all matching, and it's not gonna look as good. But the truth of it is that doesn't matter. It does to an extent. Like, if you change your brand once a week and you have like 40,000 logos on your stuff, then like maybe there's some concern there. But it's still creating content. And if it becomes that much of a worry for you, then create your content and then just don't brand it. Or if you do, make sure that you have the files that are unbranded. So if you have a logo or a watermark that you put on all your stuff, save 2 copies, save one without, because when you finally get to a brand that you really love, you can just go back and add that on there. So just remembering to do work outside of your brand for yourself and not let that consume everything you do is really important. The third big tip is to not let your favorite colors dictate what your color palette is. This one was for me the hardest thing to do because my favorite color is yellow. I love yellow. I think yellow looks so good. It makes me so happy when I see the color yellow used. And so I was like, I have to use yellow. I have to do it. It needs to be done. But yellow isn't necessarily goes with what I do. And it's very hard to work with as a color because it can't work on white, looks a little too bright on dark colors, and it can be really hard, and you have to build your entire palette around it occasionally. So for me, my favorite color had to get tossed to the side with what matched and looked better. So I ended up using like my blue, red, and light green, which has like a hint of yellow in it. It's a little bit just to make me happy. But it's something that's different, and it's not my favorite colors, but that's okay. Because when you're working with color theory, you'll find that sometimes your favorite color doesn't necessarily go with the feeling you want to express, and that's okay. So just remember that as one of the things when you're going through that it doesn't have to be that. My fourth big tip is to make sure that you are aware that you're always going to be changing. This is arguably one of the biggest things, most important tips of all of them, because when you create your brand, you think, oh, whew, I'm done. It's done. But it's not. You are going to change. When I first started going to Full Sail originally, I was in creative writing, and then I switched over to media communications, and I was going to be a journalist. So my entire brand was branded around journalism with a really harsh red and a green to kind of match like street signs because I wanted to lead you to the place. And then I completely scrapped journalism from my brand, and it's not something that I will do unless, I need to. And so therefore my brand had to entirely change because of that. And that's so okay. It's not even funny because we change. And in 5 years from now, I'm likely going to be very different than I am right now. And my brand should reflect that, and it should grow and evolve with me. And so don't be upset if you need to grow and your brand needs to grow after that, because it's just natural and it's totally, totally okay. The last tip is don't let perfect be the enemy of great. So this is something that took me a while to get and understand because I am a perfectionist. It has to look as perfect as possible, as good as possible, and if it doesn't, then it's bad. And that's just not true, and that's not how it is. And I didn't want to come out with my brand and do what I wanted to do because it wasn't perfect. And I ended up waiting a long time when I could have been out already and exposing my work and getting it out there and looked at, but I waited 2 months to do it because I wasn't happy with it. So remembering to just, sometimes you just have to accept the great and realize that nothing's ever going to be perfect. And as much as you can think about how perfect something's going to be and you have this plan in your head, it's not going to work like that, and you just need to accept it. And just settle for great, which is not a bad thing. So, I hope this helped some people who are starting to create brands for themselves and stuff like that. Again, I'm sorry the quality of this was really bad, but I felt very passionate about talking about this because it's so important to people who are new. If I had someone who had told me these things right from the get-go, I probably would have felt a lot better about of the process, because it is a very long process and a very hard process for some people. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to make more videos kind of like this, but better quality, 100% better quality. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for your time, and have a great day.